Hey everyone, and welcome back. It's Julianne here, and today I'm super excited to share that I have been asked to be a guest designer for Whimsy stamps this month. So for my first card, I'm going to be creating this Christmas slimline card featuring some super cute stamp sets that I have been wanting for so long now. Today I'm going to be using the Everyday Scripted Sentiments. This is a great stamp set that offers a variety of different sentiments for all of your cards, as well as the Don't Peek Elf and the Balancing Elf stamp sets. Both of these have been out for some time now, and I have been dying to create a scene card using both of these adorable stamp sets. So let's get started. I'm going to start out my card today by trimming down a piece of Express It blending cardstock, since I do plan on doing some Copic coloring. And I trimmed down that panel to 3 1/4 by 8 inches. That way I could have a really nice border around my card, but we'll get to that later on in the video. I'm going to be starting out by deciding on my placement for my first stamp. And so for that, I'm going to be positioning the stamp where I think I'm going to want it on my card today. But since it is a red rubber stamp, I can't see through it. So to ensure that it's in the correct spot, I'm going to be using a piece of scrap paper first that I've lined up to where I have my background panel. That way I can see how the stamp is going to look before actually stamping it on my card today. Once I'm happy with the placement, I'm then going to put that Express It blending cardstock back down into my MISTI, and then I'm going to stamp my first image. I am going to be stamping my image 2 times today. That way I get a really nice black outline. And each time I'm making sure to mask off that sentiment that's in the stamp set, since I don't want to include that on my card. Once I'm happy with my outline, I'm then going to remove my background panel, and I'm going to be heat embossing that using some clear embossing powder so that I get that really nice glossy raised edge that I love so much. Now when it does come to embossing, you definitely want to make sure that your heat tool is good and ready before bringing it to your cardstock. So what I like to do is I have it sitting off to the side for about 20 to 30 seconds before I bring it to my card to emboss my image. With that first image all embossed and ready to go, I'm now going to start working on the rest of my scene, which is to add in the Balancing Elf stamp set. Now this stamp is much smaller than the first elf, so I wanted him to be in the back of my scene so that it would look as though he was behind the first elf that I stamped. So again, using that scrap piece of paper that I used earlier, I'm going to be doing some test stamping onto it to determine where I want my second elf to be on my card. Once I'm happy with the placement, I'm then going to line up my panel back into my MISTI, and then I'm going to be stamping that cute little elf just like I did before. Now to make sure that the second elf looks as though he is in behind of the first one, I need to make sure that I mask off that elf in the front so that I don't stamp over him. Once I have my mask in place, I'm then going to stamp down my second elf, and then again I'm going to be heat embossing him using some more of that clear embossing powder as well. Now before I start my coloring, I need to go in there and add in my sentiment, and for that I'm going to be using the Merry sentiment from the Balancing Elf stamp set, and I'm also going to be using the Christmas sentiment that's a part of the Scripty sentiment stamp set. Now while I was stamping the Christmas part of my sentiment, as you can see, my background panel actually ended up moving before I could stamp it again. And I have had so many cards where that happens and I try to line everything back up and it ends up being a little bit off and ruining my card. And since I had done so much work already to this card, I didn't want to risk ruining it. So I decided that it actually didn't look so bad. So I decided to keep it just how it was. Now that I am finally done with all of my stamping, I'm actually going to start working on my Copic coloring. If this is your first time visiting my channel, then you may not know that my favorite medium is Copic coloring. If you are looking for any inspiration on different color combinations to use, I encourage you to watch some of my other videos on my channel. But back to the coloring of my card today. I have sped up my coloring since my stamping process did take up most of this video, and I didn't want to have you sit through all of my coloring as well. But like normal, I'm going to be starting with my lightest shade in each color combination. Then I'm going to come in and add some shadows and shading with my medium and darkest shade before making my way back down to my lightest color. But I'm just going to continue to color and I'm going to put on some music. And if you are interested in any of my color combinations that I am using today, I will make sure to have all my marker caps off to the side. With all of my coloring now complete, I added a bunch of white highlights with a gel pen to all of my images that you can see here. And off camera, I also used a slimline scallop die to die cut out a piece of red colored cardstock. And to add even more detail to my card, I used my Wink of Stella pen and added some glitter around the edges that would be visible on my card. I'm now going to be adhering my background to that colored cardstock using some liquid adhesive, making sure that I lined up everything and everything is straight. And next I trimmed down some green colored cardstock to 7 by 8.5 inches, and I scored at 3.5 to create my side folded slimline card base. To give my card a little bit of added dimension, I am going to be adhering my background directly to my card base using some foam adhesive. And once I have all of that adhered, I'm going to be finishing off my card by scattering a bunch of red and green sequins throughout my card to tie in with the whole Christmas theme that I've created. And that's going to complete my card for today. I want to thank you all for stopping by and spending some time with me. If you liked this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, as well as subscribe for even more card making ideas. All the items I have used in my video today will all be listed and linked down below in the description. And as always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Happy crafting!